Good morning, Dan and Amy. So Trump made one of his stops yesterday was in Flint, Michigan, and he offered an interesting contrast in terms of a slight commentary on where we find ourselves in America today.
But it used to be cars were made in Flint, and you couldn't drink the water in Mexico. Now the cars are made in Mexico, and you can't drink the water in Flint. That's not good.
It's not funny because it's true.
That person was laughing.
Well, it's a little bit of it's an interesting little parallel quip he offered. But here's the thing. The next sentence should be, and what do they have in common? Bad government policy. Government policy that's driving automakers to produce cars, or at least lines of their cars, in other countries. And it was bad government policy, bad government decision-making at the local level, compounded by state-level EPA in Detroit that led to the water crisis in Flint. Bad government policy is the connection, and his comment couldn't be more timely because, as expected, Ford announced yesterday that it is shifting all of its small car production to Mexico, as they had previously telegraphed when in April they said they were going to build a $1.6 billion plant in Mexico. Trump's prescription for the problem of imposing penalties on U.S. automakers who produce cars in other countries, I don't think is the right one, but he's certainly identifying a legitimate problem. One of the other...
Somebody screamed out during that press conference, well, our cars are affordable then. And he said, yeah, but we're going to lose thousands of manufacturing jobs. What ones are even left in Flint and the ones in Detroit? Those jobs are going to go bye-bye.
And, I mean, it's a difference in economic philosophy. I'm in the Frederick Bastiat school that you look at economics through the eyes of the consumer. If it's good for the consumer, then it's good for humanity. But I understand Donald Trump is not of that view. Now, one of the other big stories, we talked about this a little bit yesterday with Ivanka Trump's op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, is the child care plan that he rolled out, which... made you a little bit more, warmed you up a little bit to the Donald.
Yeah, if your employer doesn't offer you maternity leave, then his plan is to give you 6 weeks of maternity leave. In essence, you're going to be filing for unemployment. But it gives you time off to spend with your child.
In addition to, and I don't like that as much, I don't like those kind of mandates on business, but there are other things like the dependent care savings accounts, which is sort of a tax incentivized private initiative to budget for healthcare costs and to have tax policy that's friendly for those who budget for, childcare costs, and tax-friendly policy for those budgeting for their childcare costs. But for more on this, we're happy to be joined now by the Attorney General of the state of Arkansas. She gave, it was not a primetime speech, but I was there for it. Did you see her give her speech at the RNC?
Yep.
Leslie Rutledge, she gave a very good talk at the RNC. And now she's here to give a little bit of a talk on Trump's plan and some other issues. Attorney General Rutledge, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me on. And yes, it was quite an honor to be on stage. And it was about 8 o'clock in the Eastern hour, 8:30, 8:45. So it was close to prime time and got picked up. So it wasn't in the middle of the morning.
Yes.
Well, that's true. No, that's true.
You weren't the 9 a.m. guest.
I didn't mean to minimize it. You know, we were just used to, 11 o'clock primetime speeches at that convention because it would run so late. But you find Trump's proposal that was rolled out the other day, and it's being advanced by Ivanka Trump and other surrogates for the campaign. You find that pretty compelling, family-friendly. Is that my understanding of your view?
Absolutely, and I think what Mr. Trump has done through showing in this child care expenses plan that he recognizes that working families struggle to pay for child care across the country, that's one of the greatest expenses that families face, and they have to make that decision. Should one of us stay home or and take care of the child, or should we take our child to child care? And recognizing that is a decision that needs to be made in the family and not penalizing those parents who decide to stay at home and raise their child, because so many of our stay-at-home moms and dads are adding tremendously to our community. Running a family, running a household, handling the logistics of having 2 or 3 kids and taking them to school and doctor's appointments is an incredible benefit to the family. And so recognizing that, I think Donald Trump has laid out a tremendous plan that most Americans who are struggling to pay those enormous child care costs, really appreciate the tax incentives and the ability to, you all mentioned coming into this, the maternity leave and through the unemployment benefits, because that's a system that's already in place. We don't need to create something new.
Leslie, would it include maternity leave for dads? Or is this just for the mom?
That would be paternity leave.
Paternity leave, yes. Leslie?
And
Hello?
not having that right in front of me, I believe that it's either, but not having that right in front of me at this time, I don't know, but I know that it's, so I can't answer that question, I guess, is my...
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, let me ask you this. It's been interesting to see the response from the left. Normally would be a proponent of such proposals, and now you have some on the left. There was a piece in the Daily Beast yesterday suggesting that Donald Trump is advancing sexist policies by focusing on women who are taking care of their children, whether they're working or stay-at-home moms. I mean, it's fascinating, isn't it? The reach that no matter what you do, if you have an R next to your name, you're sexist.
Absolutely, and it's extraordinarily insulting to be called a sexist when we are supporting working moms, when we're supporting mothers or parents who choose to stay at home with their children. So I think this is a tremendous plan. Again, it gives families opportunities to decide for themselves how they, what is best for that family. Is it best to have someone staying at home and you are able to receive that same tax incentive by staying at home, caring for your child, or a tax incentive by having child care?
Now,
the same is true with the adults who, that savings plan for adults who need care. Both my grandmothers lived to be 94 years old, and I think that all of our elder Americans need that same loving, respectful care that my grandmothers received. Likewise, I have a nephew with autism. We want to make sure that as he grows into an adult, that he receives same loving care that he has received as a child.
Yeah, actually, that's an important point you raised. That we didn't mention it, but the proposal that was unveiled also includes aspects of focus on elder care and focus on care for a disabled person. So it's important you raise that. I want to ask you another question. As a statewide office holder in Arkansas, what's your kind of personal transparency standard that you hold yourself to? Just interesting some of the perspectives on this, as there's been a lot of batting around of the release of medical records and the release of tax returns and the release of transcripts of speeches and so on and so forth. What's the transparency standard you think public officials should be held to?
Well, I think that you should be transparent in all aspects of your professional life. So certainly anything in the government that I touch at the AG's office, that we believe in more sunshine, and we teach Freedom of Information Act classes to make sure that government, more sunshine is coming in, that people know how their government is spending their money. I think it's today we will learn more about Mr. Trump's health. Secretary Clinton has released her health records. And when you are running to be the commander-in-chief, then it is important for Americans to know who they would be electing.
So Donald Trump,
we're learning more and more about those.
Yeah, today I know we all know he was on Dr. Oz yesterday with a note from his doctor, but today he's going to release a one-page summary to the media. Do you have any information about that?
I think that we are all going to be very interested to see what comes out on Dr. Oz today.
And there you go. It's, as we are every day. I mean, you can't go a day without the Dr. Oz show. All right. She is Leslie Rutledge. She's the Attorney General for the state of Arkansas. Leslie, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. You have a great day.
You too. And she joined us on our Turnkey Top Pro Answer line.